You are seen. You are worthy. You are not alone. The world loses one person to suicide every 40 seconds. Let's change the stats. Together, we can say not suicide. Not today.
Welcome to True Crime, Authors and Extraordinary People, the podcast where we bring two passions together. The show that gives new meaning to the old adage, truth is stranger than fiction, and reminding you that there is an extraordinary person in all of us. Here is your host, David McClam.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of True Crime, Authors and Extraordinary People. Of course, I'm your man, David McClam. Hey, if you guys haven't already, make sure you follow us on all of our social media. One link to a link tree will get you every place you need to go pertaining to the show. All right, before we jump into what I'm here for today, let me remind you, if you are someone or you know someone that feels like you want to hurt yourself or others, please dial 988. That is the suicide prevention line. They will give you the help that you need because remember, no matter what you are going through, nothing is worth your life. And if no one else has told you this today, let me be the first. I do care, and we do need you to be here. All right, guys, sorry that I'm coming at you this late. It is Monday. I'm here to tell you exactly what happened so that you know I didn't just ghost you or what took place. If you listened to last week's episode, which was episode 20, Unraveling the Mystery, the Tragic Death of Deanna Stevenson and the Quest for Justice, then you heard at the end that my author for the Thursday that just passed was to be Tamron Hall. Unfortunately, Tamron Hall had to reschedule that, so that one you did not get. So the reason why I'm coming at you this late is because I always try to do the right thing at the time. Now, the one thing I'm going to tell you is you will still hear from Tamron Hall. She is coming, so that is going to happen. However, what I was tussling with and why I'm here this late and why nothing went up on Thursday was because I'm like, do I put another author in there? Do I just leave it blank? What would I want to be done if this was me? What I want you guys to understand is that every guest that I have come on the show, whether they are an author or an extraordinary person, is extremely important to me. They're here because their stories or in their books has something that I feel can reach you and help you in a better life, and in some cases give you entertainment. I would never want to take any one of these great people that's been on the show or that is coming on the show for granted. So I felt like it would not have been right for me to throw another author in there that I did not introduce. And this is why I introduced them, is to let you guys know who is coming so that it whets your appetite so you want to come back and hear that episode. And then maybe you want to go and read the book that they've written because you heard the episode and you got something else from that person. Maybe you'll hear something from them on my show that you haven't heard before on another show. Take somebody like Tamron Hall. She's been interviewed hundreds and thousands of times. She is a celebrity. Therefore, you may have seen a whole bunch of interviews with Tamron Hall, but the interview that Tamron's going to do with me will be different, and you may pull something different out of that, maybe that you did not know. We all ask different questions, and we all do interviews a different way. So I just didn't feel like it was in good taste for me to throw another author in there and then at the beginning be like, hey, I know you're supposed to have Tamron Hall. She couldn't make it, so here's so-and-so. The reason I didn't do that is because if that happened to me, I would feel like that I was then second best to that host. That my story was not as important as what Tamron Hall or anybody else may have came on my show to talk about. So I would have felt slighted. I'm just going to be honest with you. And maybe I would have called the host up and said, hey, bro, look, I'm not trying to be rude, but, you know, I kind of felt like I was second best to you because one of the other authors you had did not show up. So you just threw me in that time slot. Every person you hear from, yes, some of the interviews has been shot months beforehand, but they are slotted in at different times for a reason. So that's why you did not get an author this week and I didn't have a Thursday episode. I hope you guys do understand and respect where I'm coming from. If you listened to me ever came on my show, you would get exactly the same respect and treatment that I'm doing here now. And it is true. I try to accommodate my guests, especially around authors. I think a little while ago in another episode, I told you guys that there is definitely layers to podcasting. I believe I discussed it with you in episode 19, Ethical Choices in the World of Podcasting. A lot of people misunderstand what podcasting actually is, especially if you are a production like mine, where I'm producing the show, I produce other shows, I'm doing interviews, I got to slate them in, and I deal with publicists and PR teams. I'm a one-man band, so I don't have a secretary that's answering all of my emails. So if you ever came on True Crime Authors and Extraordinary People and you get a response, you know that response is coming from me. The only thing I have generated is if you sign up on my calendar, you would get an email from me. That is all generated, but it's all written by me on Calendly. And the reason that's generated is so that I don't forget, because it reminds me too. So it reminds me, hey, you got 7 days before so-and-so's coming on. Okay, we're 2 days away. If you're going to promote it. Hey, tomorrow, dude, is the interview. That helps keep me on track. But when you talking to me directly, it's me. It's nobody else. So everybody spends their time to come on the show, and I want to be respectful of that. So that's why we didn't do that. And what I was going with that is, so if an author does write me and say, hey, I have a book that's coming out, say April, and I really need to push this book, we're going to do this interview. Can you please get my interview out before such and such date? I will try to accommodate that. And I have told other authors that I have spoken with, if you have a book that is coming up and you're on the show and you need that to be released at a certain time, let me know. I will make that happen, because it is very important, I feel, that you guys get the interview and you get the book as close as possible, because now you know about that person and it makes you want to go read that book. So again, I hope you guys understand. I didn't forget about the episode. I just wanted to do the right thing, and I took some time to think about that. And I always put myself in other people's shoes. And if I would have felt that way, I know whoever I would have put in that slot would have also felt that way, because they didn't get the same treatment that all my other authors got. They didn't get introduced a week before. I didn't tell you who they were or what possibly they wrote about. So I just threw somebody on you and said, here you go. And you guys might have been sitting there going, what the heck? He said Tamron Hall. This clearly is not Tamron Hall. So now I've kind of thrown you guys off too of what you was expecting to hear. And I never, ever will do that. So just like the announcement last week, you still will get Megan Connor on Thursday. That interview will be there waiting for you on Thursday, sometime during that day. So that is going on. Now, before I get out of here, I just want to tell you guys a thought on a case that I did earlier. And I'll tell you what case that was. This is, I didn't sit here and prepare anything. I'm just giving you off the cuff what I feel, because it's now going around the internet and social media and everything else. So I want to give you my opinion on it, just so that you know what I stand, and hopefully you look into it and then you can give your opinions on it too. About 4 weeks ago, it was episode 17. It was entitled Unraveling the Gypsy Rose Blanchard Case, a Tale of Deception, Abuse, and a Quest for Freedom. Now, if you have been paying attention, since Gypsy Rose Blanchard has gotten out of jail, it seems almost like that she is a celebrity. There's a couple of things that has happened that I didn't agree with. Now, in my episode, I did tell you about her husband that she married in prison, that her mom, or I should say her stepmom and dad, did not even know. They were prepared to have her come live with them in their house. But she dropped the bomb on them by saying, hey, by the way, I'm kind of married, and nobody knew this. Now, in that episode, I alluded to the fact that at the time, I wasn't going to say that maybe he was there for money or clout. Maybe he did actually love her. And then I went into some scenarios of things that he's going to have to be willing to deal with as it comes down the line. Well, then I started thinking about it. Start looking at YouTube videos because everybody's like, why is the internet turning on Gypsy Rose Blanchard? And Gypsy Rose Blanchard is just as manipulative as her mom. And look who taught her how to be manipulative. And I think she's trying to con all of us. Well, I kind of have a little bit of a different opinion. Here's what I think. First of all, Gypsy Rose Blanchard is very damaged. She went to jail as a teenager after she had her mom killed. She's never, ever had to deal with it. She's never got to mourn properly. She's never got to really embrace what she did or did not do. Now she's been engaged twice, married once. She got engaged to another young cat. I can't remember his name right now, but he dipped after the fact that he found out about her life. So after he saw the movie or the documentary, Mommy Dead and Dearest, he pretty much told Gypsy Rose, I can't hang with this, I'm out. Now in comes her current husband, Ryan Anderson. So I've been sitting back taking a look at things that's going around. First of all, the media needs to be ashamed of themselves. And to some people, podcasters are part of the media because we report the news. I am not a part of the damaging side of media. I never will be. I think that they are vultures. That's what she's going up against now. That documentary that was on HBO Max, they started shooting 18 months before Gypsy Rose Blanchard was released. They knew she was up for parole. But then look at what happens when she got released. Interview here, interview there. Gypsy Rose, come over here. Oh my gosh, your mom, you had your mom killed because of this, that, and other thing. Then there was the bandwagoners that got on Gypsy Rose's thing. Oh my God, I'm so glad she's out. She should never went to jail. She can't be no murderer. Now I'm on the bandwagon that I don't think she should have ever went to jail. I've told you that. I don't think Godejohn should be in jail. I've told you that. They were mentally ill. They were sick. They need to be someplace else, but not in jail. However, it is not a celebrity moment. Bring in Ryan Anderson. This is why he's riding that wave, I feel. Let's take a look at his life since Gypsy Rose has been out. I haven't heard him say one thing in interviews now about being a teacher unless he's asked. He's saying that he got another job after he got fired from the other one. I don't even know if he's actively teaching right now because he's too busy up in the camera taking Gypsy Rose Blanchard's money. Money that she's making off of a tragic situation that landed her in jail for 10 years and another guy in jail for life. It's a clout chasing moment. So from where I'm sitting, Gypsy Rose traded one prison to go into the next prison. She's on Twitter or X now, as they call it, talking sexual stuff. And he's being big and pig around it. Oh, they just mad because you get to do this to me every night. And he's like, bring it in here, baby, let's do it. No, this is not what this is not what this is about. I think Gypsy Rose Blanchard is being used. She is being manipulated. But the most damaging thing that she is now doing is if you've listened to any interview that Gypsy Rose Blanchard has ever done up to this point, every Dr. Phil interview, which I think was only one, every press interview, every media interview, even to the producers that was shooting that new documentary 18 months prior, every single time the question came up to Gypsy Rose Blanchard about what happened to her mom, she's always taken full responsibility for it. And she said, yes, I was the catalyst. I was the reason why it happened, but I just needed to be free. Well, here is why everybody's now turning on Gypsy Rose Blanchard, because now if you listen to some of the recent interviews she's done on podcasts and on YouTube, she's changing that story just a bit. She was on a recent podcast or interview and they asked her, do you feel that you are a murderer? Now, after she thought about it for a minute, and I'm paraphrasing here, don't take me verbatim, but this is about what she said. She pretty much said, she was not the one that killed her mother. Godejohn was the one that killed her mother. She was not a murderer. She did not feel that she was a murderer, even though she may have had something to do with it by setting it up. That, ladies and gentlemen, is no longer taking responsibility for it. I guess depending on who you are, you would say that, yes, she's a murderer because of the fact that she was the one that masterminded. In a lot of states, if you mastermind a crime and you are the one behind it, you will go down for the same murder. Now, if you do look at what she went down for or what they charged her with, they did charge her with second-degree murder of her mom because she was the mastermind behind it. So the question kind of becomes now, what if? Let's look at this what if scenario. What if at the moment that Godejohn got to the house, she's getting it all set up, she comes out the bathroom before he goes and says, "Don't go kill my mom. I've now changed my mind. You got to go." Would Godejohn have left? Would he have went and killed Dee Dee anyways? Or would he have killed Dee Dee and Gypsy? Because according to him, according to Nick Godejohn, he was not Nick Godejohn on that night. He was Victor, the 500-year-old vampire. And she had already been warned that once you initiate this, Victor's going to go into that mode. He ain't coming out of it. You can't turn back on Victor. So once you got him there, he gonna kill somebody. Now, according to her statements, continuing, she said that Nick Godejohn just wanted to kill someone. He would have done anything to do that. Now, she's never said that they had a conversation beforehand. She's never said that she told him not to do it, but somehow I'm kind of wondering, did she ever go and say, hey, maybe I'm changing my mind. Maybe I don't want this done. And he pushed it. We would never know that. But she's not taking responsibility. This is why the interwebs is now turning on Gypsy Rose, and they're calling her a big manipulator. They're also looking at the fact that she's making all this money now that her mom is dead because she's running around doing all these interviews. Well, let me come a little bit to the defense of that. No, she should not be out here doing all these interviews. Okay, what I would have done, and this was somebody said that they thought was going to happen. So like, for instance, let's take, for lack of a better person, I'm going to think of Casey Anthony. When Casey Anthony got acquitted, Casey Anthony was taken out the back way of the courthouse. She was immediately put into a car. She was taken to an airport, and she was flown out of the state that she was in to somewhere that we didn't even know where she was. We was told that Casey was summoned by one of the biggest pornography distributors out here in LA to be in one of their movies. But after they got backlash, they quickly withdrew that offer. So we never really knew where Casey Anthony was up until recently. She hid out. She didn't say nothing to the press. She didn't go nowhere. None of that. Everybody's saying that's what Gypsy Rose should have done. I agree. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought she was going to get released. She was going to go to her dad and stepmom's house. She was going to hide out in the house. She was going to let them take care of her for a while. She was going to let all of the things that happened to her over the past 10 years finally set in. She was going to deal with it, get some counseling, have loving family members around her to do that before she steps out into the world about 6 to 12 months later, maybe if not longer than that. But before you want to blame her dad and her stepmom, she's grown. Nothing that they could have done when she married this guy. Nothing they could have done about getting it annulled. They had to go with that. So in defense of Gypsy Rose, she's been in front of a camera her whole life. Only difference is she was forced to be in front of the camera because her mom made her be in front of the camera so that they got paid. But are we so sure that that's not what Ryan is doing too? From what I understand, Ryan Anderson controls a lot more than we know. He's everywhere she is. He's always shutting down Godejohn. And now Godejohn's attorney is like, man, she's living big, high on the hall, getting all this money. My dude sitting in jail, rotting for life. What do you guys think? In closing, here's my final thoughts on that. Gypsy Rose Blanchard is very vulnerable. She's easy to be taken advantage of. I probably could have wrote Gypsy Rose Blanchard a letter and said some stuff like, yeah, I'm sorry, baby, but I'm married. But I tell you what, if you ever get out of prison, I'm going to leave my wife and I'm going to come to be with you. And she probably would have believed it because of the fact that she doesn't know what real love is. And no one's ever shown her that. So she just believes stuff. People says that Ryan Anderson looks just like Dee Dee, just in the male body. That's what's been going around the internet. But if you look at her, I don't really think she's all that happy. She questioned the marriage before she got out. Go watch that documentary on HBO Max. She called up her counsel and said, man, look, I don't know if I can do this. I've been locked up in here for 10 years. I haven't even as much dated anyone. Now I'm about to become somebody's whole wife. I think she just married him out of pressure. There was an argument that was on the Max documentary that he went off. Her stepmom was concerned about that. I think she's traded one person for the next. I think she does not need to be married to Ryan Anderson. If Ryan Anderson was the man that he says that he is, this is what he would have done, because this is what I would have done. Let's just say I did write Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and all of a sudden I felt some type of way about her and I wanted to be with her. But being the man that I am, I'm going to say, look here, I want to be with you. However, you don't know what this outside world is like. You haven't even had time to digest and grieve and realize what you did and why you was in prison all this time. You've been in there for a very long time. So here's what I want you to do. I'm not going to leave you. We're going to still be a couple, but I need you to go get yourself together, and I'll work on this out here for us. Go to your dad's house, hang with your dad, your sister, your stepmom for a little bit. Let them get you some counseling. I'll be there with you every step of the way. Now, after you feel like you've got some stuff under your wings, you know how this world works, you've been around family for a while, we'll talk about marriage, say 12 months down. I'm not going anywhere. So don't worry about that, baby. We got time. I'm going to be here with you to the end, but I want to marry you when you are at your best. That's what I would have done. Not go out and get the money, not knowing that you were a celebrity, because that's what they're treating her as, knowing that the media is going to be all around her. If he was any type of husband, instead of sitting his butt in front of a camera every time they come flashing it, he would be protecting her, saying, leave my wife alone. We trying to heal. Let me take her somewhere so she can heal. Get away. Turn down some interviews. Sure, do one or two. I get it. You out of prison. You want to state your piece. You want to let everybody know that why you did what you did. Now you've done that. Shut up. Go in the house. Chill out. Ryan Anderson, as far as I'm concerned, is exploiting her just as bad as her mama did. But here's the one thing that he has to keep in mind. And I don't say this to be cruel, but it's true. And somebody else said this too. He needs to remember what happened the last time somebody put Gypsy Rose Blanchard in a corner and locked her there. That person is no longer here. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for understanding why I did not release an author to you on Thursday that just passed. 2 days from now, you will definitely be getting Megan Connor. You do want to tune in for her. She's my extraordinary person. She's going to be great. The conversation that we had was awesome. You don't want to miss that. And then the next week, I'll come back with another true crime case. And then I will tell you who our author and who our extraordinary person would be for the following weeks. So you don't want to miss that. Make sure to tune in. All right, guys, once again, thank you for tuning in. I know you have many options in True Crime and Interview podcasts, and I am grateful for the last 2.5 years. I have been one of your choices. I hope you're being good to yourself and to each other. And always remember, always stay humble. An act of kindness can make someone's day. A little love and compassion can go a long way. And remember that there is an extraordinary person in all of us. I'll catch you on the next one.
Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Join us on social media. One link to the link tree has it all. Feel free to drop us a line at truecrimeandauthors@gmail.com. Cover art and logo designed by Arslan. Sound mixing and editing by David McClam. Intro script by Sophie Wild and David McClam. Theme music, Legendary, by New Alchemist. Introduction and ending credits by Jackie Voice. See you next time on True Crime, Authors, and Extraordinary People.